Hi, welcome to Range & Country. I'm Peter and I'm here today to show you how to set up your new package that you've just had delivered from Range & Country. So, what comes with this package? A tin of quality pellets, a pack of quality targets, 100 in there to keep you busy for 10 minutes in the garden, a hawk scope complete with mounts. This one I've included a pump. We've included the standard pump with it. We're going to set it up, show you how to operate it. It's going to be similar for a cylinder, putting the connectors on, just different filling it. We have done another video on how to fill from a cylinder and a pump, so this is just to set it up, putting the connectors on. A moderator. Not everybody has a moderator with a package, but we get a few questions as to how to fit them. So people new into the sport not always know. So we have a rifle. Here we've chosen the Gamo GX40, one of our very most popular rifles that we sell. And we have the obligatory cup of tea. So without further ado, let's undo the rifle. So this is just how you would receive it from us. All tested, checked. And all wrapped up. So the fill probe comes separate, so I'll put that in there, deal with that in a moment. Here we have the rifle with all its packaging. We'll slide it out of this noisy packaging. And there we are. Beautiful, full of air. We always fill these before we deliver them, so we know there's no problems with them. So there we go. That's the box done with. Now we have the rifle, the magazine's in it, so for safety, we'll take the magazine out. We know that there's nothing in it. It's just come straight from the factory as it is, but you can never be too careful. So I've cocked it, I've pulled the bolt back, nothing in it. We're going to put the scope on, so we're going to open the scope, and this is just straight off the shelf, exactly as it would be delivered to you. Now it comes with everything needed. You've got a little lens cloth there, good for your glasses as well if you're a glasses wearer. Little packet of silica gel to keep the scope from suffering from damp in storage. And we've got 3 Allen keys. We'll find out what we use 3 Allen keys for. Now, first off, I'll take the scope covers off. Just makes it a little easier to deal with. And I'm going to turn the rifle around because the screws are on the right hand side of the mount, if you can see that. So I'm going to be working on the right hand side of the rifle. These gunsmiths maintenance centres are superb. We use them in the shop and at the range for setting up rifles, for cleaning, for clearing pellets out of jam barrels, all sorts. They hold the rifle superbly. You can hold it in that plane or in that plane. Brilliant, look how steady that is. You keep all your tools in there, although in the shop we do tend to find that they do fill up a bit with spare bits that we come across. So I'll undo the main mount screws on the scope. Now this is, on this rifle, this is a 9 to 11mm dovetail rail. Now the 2 different types of rail that you come across on air rifles in the UK are the 9 to 11 dovetail, which is this one here. You also get the Weaver or Picatinny rail. BSA have always used a little bit wider rail on theirs. That's generally a 13mm rail. if you're setting up on a BSA, generally you need a bit larger mounts just across the base. Now we have on here, we've got a little pin sticking out of the mount. Now this throws some people. Now what we have to do, if this is finger tight, which it is, I'm going to wind it out, I'm going to remove it, and I'm going to file it for later. Hence we get all little bits and pieces stuck in them. Now what that pin is for, that is called a recoil stop pin. Now on a spring rifle, there's quite a bit of recoil on the rifle, and what you can tend to find, you find the scope can creep along the rail with the recoil. Now with a PCP, you'll notice there are no holes in the top rail here. Zero recoil, so you're not going to get the shift of the scope on the rail. So I'm going to place that on there. For my eye, I think that would be roughly about right. I've done this a few times, so I know roughly where I like it. But what I will do, I'm going to nip up 2 screws just to hold the scope on. And then I'm going to check it. Just check that my eye. Now, the eye relief that they recommend for the Hawk scopes, between about 80 and 100 millimeters, means that your eye wants to be between 80 and 100 millimeters from the scope. Perfect. Now, we have gone into this, and we will go into this more. This little dial on the back of the scope with a plus and minus, all this does is sets my eye to this crosshair. So while I'm into that, I may as well just adjust that. Looking at a fairly light background, I'm not looking to focus the target. All I'm looking to do is focus those crosshairs to my eye. Simple as that, done. And you can see how far that is out. Me, a young guy like me, my eyes are quite poor without glasses, so I do need it out a little bit. So I'm happy with that. So we'll go back to the larger Allen key, and we will tighten up the other 2 screws on the mounts. These don't want to be stupidly tight. I always refer to them as just nipped, so that they're not going to creep, not going to move during storage or use or transportation. We get some people bring them in the shop and they're mega tight. And you think the Allen key is going to break when you're undoing them. Don't need to be that tight. You can cause too many problems. Now that's the larger Allen key that comes with it. So that's for the 4 screws that hold the mounts onto the base of the rifle. The medium Allen key is for the screws on the top that hold the caps on, if you like, to the scope mounts, and they retain the scope in there. And the small Allen key would be for if that recoil stop pin was tighter than finger tight. So they give you everything that you need. So that's the scope on. Now, what shall we put on now? Moderator. So here we've chosen the Hogan Decimator, one of our more popular moderators, extremely effective, not expensive, very good value for money. Now what they have is a 1/2 inch 20 thread on the front of the scope, on the front of the moderator there. So what we have to do, now this on the muzzle is it's just a finishing piece, a muzzle brake, call it what you like. Now that's going to beat me. I need a tool on that, so look here, I have a tool. I can put an Allen key in that maybe. There we go. Didn't have my Weetabix this morning. Shows Frosties. Bad mistake. So screw that off and screw the moderator on. Bingo! There we go. That's the rifle, the scope and the moderator all set up. So now let's move on to the pump. Just move these out of the way. Obligatory cup of tea. Just doing like doing IKEA flat pack, except more rewarding when you've finished. So we have your fill adapter. Now what this consists of is a brass adapter with an 1/8 of an inch BSP on that end, 2 black O-rings on the probe end with a little hole in the middle. Now what that does, I'll just show you on this rifle, this plugs into the fill port which is under this cover. So we'll just take that off and that just slides in there like that. Simple as that. So that's how we fill. We will go into filling later, and we have already made a video on filling, and that cap just slides on and off. It's just retained by a little O-ring inside there. So now we'll put the pump together. And here we've gone for the Air Force One pump. Now this is a bit more like the IKEA flat pack. So you have a hose, we have an adjustable spanner, and we have a spares kit with a couple of blanks in there. One's a blank and one's an adapter. So let's put this together quickly. I won't tighten everything up with spanners, which you must do because they are extreme high pressure of air. It will find leaks. A quick couple in here as well. So let's get the pump out. There we are, quite a chunky solid unit. Now this is your fill hose, and this is going to go in front here like this. Now I'm just going to wind this in. There is a white seal in there, usually Delrin or something like that, that seals the pump. Just a little tricky, that's it, that's started. So wind it in. Okay, so that's the front of the pump on. That's your filling width. Then we have the gauge to screw on, and again there's a sealing washer in there, and you have a hex thread there. So what we'll screw that in there. There we go. Just tighten it down. That will just need a little nip with a spanner. We have the bleed valve on the back, so we'll just tighten that up. And then we have the handle. Very simple. So we're looking for 2 screws in here. Empty it all out. We've got 2 long screws, we've got an Allen key, and we have some spares. So all we do is long screw through the handle into the top of the pump. And there we have the handle fixed on. One more thing we have to do. So we're just short of tightening those up with a spanner. It does come with a spanner, a multi-tool spanner. In all honesty, they're not brilliant. If you've got a that looks like a 13 or a 14 on there, that's probably a 10 or 11. You're probably better off using a proper spanner. These are a little bit Heath Robinson, I think. Right, so here's your quick coupler that comes with a pump. You see in there again, you have a white, could be a acetyl seal, and then you have your fill adapter. So all we do is we screw that onto there. Again, this needs spanners. You're going to need 2 spanners on this one, probably a 14 on that one and a 13 on there. Nip it up, and that's it. Now how that works is you have a quick coupler on the end of your pump, and that quick coupler just couples in there, clips in. Job done. And that's it, all set up. Ready to go. Pellets in the magazine, which is pretty self-explanatory. The magazine is a rotational drum inside the magazine, spring loaded, 1 pellet in, turn it round to the next place, next pellet in, and so forth, up to 10. And when it's empty, you'll see there's a little yellow piece of paint there comes visible in that telltale hole. Also in the fill probe with the rifle comes a little capsule of fluid. Now this is silicone grease, and this is to lubricate the O-rings on the fill adapter on there. Look, these will get dry. They're a bit slimy at the minute. They will get dry with use, and when you're trying to put them into the brass fill port, they will nick. So that's what the silicone grease is for. Just a little smear when needed, probably every 10 fills, just to keep those lubricated. It makes them last an awful lot longer. And you also come with 2 spares. So for when they do nick in the future, you can just change them. So you're set up. You've got spares for your fill probe, and you've got spares for your pump. So that's maintenance taken care of for a long, long while. You've got 500 pellets, you've got 100 targets. Let's get shooting. Thank you very much. That's all from me, and we'll see you on the next one.